I'm live. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to The Key, the Secret to Happiness. Listen, if there's one thing that I have learned is that you cannot put anything in front of your happiness. And I want to share you some of the things that help me keep me going through the worst times. Because some people say to me, Sheena, why are you happy? Why are you so positive? And actually to criticize me for being positive. But that is what gets us through. You know, you may knock us down, but we're going to get back up. But it's not just me, it's all of you. Anybody who's watching this right now, you know that you're 100% successful in getting through anything that you've had in your life. Why? Because you're here watching this with me now. So, what if you had a foolproof system that you could go to and just literally use it to pull you out whenever you get into your worst moments and whenever you're in your greatest moments to help keep you grounded at the same time? Because that was one of the things that I realized, that I would fly off and I would be up here. Look, I've even got my wings today for you, that I would fly off and I would be so hyper. And I realized that actually that was anxiety. So I didn't realize that, but I do now. And so it's about keeping ourselves grounded. Now, we've got a fantastic evening ahead of us. So I'm going to keep you maybe for, 3/4 of an hour absolutely tops. It depends on where we go with this. And it depends if how much you comment and we talk as well. But I have got the most fabulous guest coming to us from America. And I think you all know her name, Peggy McColl. Now, what I didn't realize was that Peggy, I looked at your profile and actually it said 50 years study of manifestation. 50 years study. I'm going to bring her on any second now. 50 years study of manifestation. My goodness, I thought Bob Proctor, was doing well. And here's Peggy McColl right now. So I think Peggy knows a little bit, or just a little bit, but 35 years of transforming lives, 20 books, fiction and non-fiction, translated into 37 languages. I didn't know there were 37 languages out there, and in over 100 countries. Best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author. And I am just absolutely delighted to have you as part of our happiness session tonight, Peggy. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Peggy, and about happiness and what you've seen over your 35 years.
Yeah, that's so great. Thank you, Sheena. Thank you so much for having me. And I want to welcome everyone who's watching us this evening or this afternoon, whatever time it might be for you. It's still afternoon here. You're in the future, Sheena, so I'm sure it's very bright. And that's, of course, the way that you would see it. You know, I have been studying personal development. It's actually been 45 years, so I'll have to find where that bio is because it's a little inaccurate. It was 45 years ago that I met the wonderful, incredible Bob Proctor, and I began to study with him. And he wasn't the only one that I studied. I studied many of the great masters and still to this day continue to study because I believe it's important to expand our awareness. And how we expand our awareness is through studying. But what's more important than any of that is really applying what you're learning. You will not experience any positive results in your life until you apply. I was going to say understand, but actually apply. You don't even have to understand it. And if I think about my mentor and friend, Bob Proctor, that was something that really led him to study success as well, is that he'd experienced phenomenal success and his income had, multiplied extensively. And he realized that, wonder why this is happening. Why is it that I'm getting all these results or getting these great results? So decided to study success as a scientist, like very passionately. And so since he was that way and inclined that way, and of course experienced the benefits of that, I began to study with him as well. But, we're here this evening to talk about the key, the secret, switching to being rich to experience greater happiness in your life. And my life wasn't always that way. In fact, I was probably the opposite of happiness, which would be extreme sadness. And I used to cry myself to sleep. And this is before I met Bob, and probably even a little while after I had met him, because I still wasn't, completely understanding what I was studying. but I was in a very dark place. And I don't know if anyone here has been in a dark place, or maybe you're experiencing some darkness right now. But I do know this is that when you're in a dark place and you're feeling hopeless, it's very challenging to see the way out, like to see what the solutions are. But there's always a way out. There's always a way to happiness. And I believe it's a choice. We get to choose to be happy. So when I met Bob back in, back in the late 70s and began studying these materials, prior to that, I was suicidal. And that's a very dark place to be in. And now I can't even understand what that felt like or what it was like, but it was very real for me. And the experience of not wanting to live was very real for me. And even though I'd wake up every day, it would be a struggle. And everything was a mess in my life, from my financial situation at that time to relationships to my career to the way I was living. And when I realized that if I wanted my life to change, and this is a very valuable lesson, if I wanted my life to change, I had to change. That it isn't something that's outside of you that's going to change your life, that you have to make the decision. And then you have to step into the new version of how you desire your life to be. So, what I'd love to do is give some very simple understandings and some techniques that can be implemented, that can invite the idea and the experience of greater happiness in your life, and to go from where you are now to where you would love to be by simply making a decision and then being committed to what that would be like, what it would be like for you to be living a happy life. In fact, let me ask you that right now. If you were living your life the way you desire for your life to be, how would that be? How would you feel? What would you be seeing? What would you be experiencing? Now, when I ask that kind of question, normally what occurs for someone is they start to maybe think, imagine. Quite often you'll see people looking up, right? They start to search their own imagination for what would that be like to really live my life free, to live my life in joy, in happiness, to feel grateful every single day, to wake up and be ready to take on the day and to experience your days with great sense of joy and fulfillment, and put your head on the pillow at night, and as you're drifting off into sleep, feeling that incredible sense of gratitude and appreciation for the wonderful life that you live. So when people even entertain that idea to do that, what stops them from even continuing with that dream or that imagined experience are paradigms, which are your belief systems. It's the set of beliefs that you have that really dictate and determine everything about you, from the way that you think, from the way that you feel, from the habits that you're involved with, from what you will do or not do. And so if you find that by entertaining the answer to a question like, if I was living my life the way I would love for it to be, and it's fulfilling, and you're happy, what would that be like? If you find in exploring the idea in your imagination, seeking to have that answer, if you find yourself feeling challenged because old thoughts pop up that say something like, oh, you can't have that. That's not practical. That's not possible. That's not the way your life is. Your life is meant to struggle. You're learning from these experiences. That's why they're there in your life. If anything like that shows up in your consciousness, understand it's simply a paradigm. You see, our paradigms put on battles within our consciousness the moment we decide to do or be or experience something that we've never experienced before. And the reason is because it is your support system in a way, but it's like your automatic mechanism. It's your servo mechanism. It's automatic the way you think and the way you feel. You see, you are a habitual being, but so am I. So is Sheena. We're all habitual beings. And what happens with humans is that we get into these habits of emotions, and in some cases get addicted to emotions. And do you realize that some people are addicted to sadness? They're addicted to depression. And for some of it, what might be considered very good reason because they can validate their results, right? Because if you say to somebody, and if it's somebody who has no desire to make a positive change in their life, if you said to somebody, you too could create a wonderful life, a fulfilled life. You could be happy. You could be earning the kind of money you'd love to be earning. You could be doing whatever it is you want to do. You could be experiencing whatever you want to experience. And you tell someone that who's not into these materials or who isn't a serious student, and they would probably tell you, that's a bunch of garbage, or that's impossible. Why? Because that is their current belief system. But if you met someone who had a desire to make the change, who felt perhaps dissatisfied with the way that their life is, you see, dissatisfaction can be a stimulant. It may stimulate you to grow. It may stimulate you to make a positive change. So if you notice that there is an area or a part of your life that you're not happy with, then get excited about it because you can change it. No one else. It's not something outside of you. It's not money that's going to change it for you. It's not another person who's going to come into your life and save you. The person who's going to help you enjoy more happiness is looking at you in the mirror, looking back at you in the mirror. And the person who is keeping you confined or keeping you restricted is also looking back at you in the mirror. So this should be really great news if you think about it, because what that says is that you're at choice always. You're always at choice. You're at choice in how you feel. You're at choice always in all ways. And so happiness is absolutely a choice. It's a choice. I woke up this morning and I started thinking about Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar was a great teacher and an author and speaker. And I met him. I've met him on a couple of occasions. He's passed from this earthly plane now. But Zig Ziglar used to say that when he woke up in the morning, that he would just get excited about the day. He would just say, it's a great day to get up and get at 'em. That's what he would say. He would say, it's a great day to get up and get at 'em. Is that the way you're approaching your day? You see, the way you approach your day in the morning is the way your day will likely unfold. It's like you set the direction of where you're going. And we do it consciously. We do it automatically. We do it in the morning. So one of the best ways to change the direction of where you're going, which is the course, which is your results, is by constantly noticing, paying attention, being aware, that's what awareness is, and choosing the direction of where you want to go. You see, when you're happy, you're in what's called a feel good state. And when you're feeling good, you attract good. Simple, right? It's very, very simple. It's a very simple understanding. You feel good, you attract good. So what I would suggest is begin your day by thinking about what you would love as if it's in your life right now. So beside my bed, I have a sign that's right beside my bed. So I see it every day. And it looks like this. And it says, now that my dream is fulfilled, how do I feel? You see, we attract based on how we feel, which I've already mentioned. And if you think about a dream or a goal or something that you would love, very likely you desire it because you will feel good, right? Perhaps you will feel happy. So just think about this. If you asked yourself this question, now that my dream is fulfilled, how do I feel? Do you think for a moment there would be any sadness involved in that? Of course not. Do you think for a moment that there would be only happiness? Of course, because it's a dream. It's something that you desire. And that dream can be anything. It's like that quote, if you can think it, you can do it. If you can think it, you can have it. Bob Proctor used to say, if you can hold it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. And I think about that quote and how valuable that is as an understanding. If you can hold it in your mind, what is your mind? Your mind is your consciousness. right? And when you hold an idea, you're holding it by giving it your attention. Now, when I ask that question, now that my dream is fulfilled, and you intentionally went there in your mind and thought about that for a moment, you held it in your attention. And now it's growing. You will attract it to it. You will attract it to you because you're expressing energy. And the energy that you're expressing is expressed through feelings like happiness. And you will draw back to you a match. You will draw back to you something, an experience, an event, an outcome that will be a match for that feeling. And this is how we manifest. And it sounds almost like backward thinking because there are some people that think, well, when I have the goal or the dream in my life, then I will feel grateful. Then I will feel joyful. But it's actually backward. And it's backward because you attract based on how you feel. So you feel happy now, you feel grateful now for whatever it is that you desire to have in your life, and you'll attract it back. Now, all of that sounds incredibly simple. And because I've been in this business for as many years as I have, for several decades, and because I've been studying for even more than that, I have observed many people who have a desire to make the change in their life, and yet they're not experiencing the results. So why is that? I'll tell you why. And it's very simple why. They're not feeling as if they already have that result in their life. That's it. Okay, so how do you get into the energetic state of feeling it? You get there by choosing, by being consciously aware, by making a committed decision and not deviating. Or if you do deviate in any way, meaning you start to feel sad or disillusioned or fearful or worrying or overwhelmed or whatever, put yourself right back on track. That's why, Sheena, when I saw your book, I love Switch to Riches. That's switching. That's a switching technique. I've been teaching switching techniques for decades. Why? Because we want to switch over to a better feeling state. You could ask yourself the question, what would I love? That'll cause you to switch over. I used this question many, many years ago. This is when I started using it with regularity. I started using this question when I had purchased a home. This is going back to 1994, and I didn't have the money to buy it. And I made the decision anyways, because I understood the process of manifestation. And I would find myself having this little paradigm battle where the old way of thinking, my old limiting beliefs would start popping up with their ugly heads. And they would say, who do you think you are? You can't do this. You don't have the money for this. And I would just ask myself this question: what would I love? What would I love? I'd love to own this home. Okay, what's that feel like? Feels great. Bam, I'd switch away from the destructive way of being over to alignment of feeling as if what I desire is here now. And that's it. Now, when you do that with regularity, when you remind yourself every day, this is how you will be today, you will change your life. You'll absolutely change your life without question. And so what I did, because of the programming in our subconscious mind and the power of our subconscious mind, which are all the beliefs that have been placed within our subconscious mind over the years, because I understand that, I understand the power of it, I understand how challenging it is to change them, I wrote a detailed description of how I loved my life to be. And I wrote it out with descriptions so I can see it in my mind's eye. So that when I listen to my Power Life script, so I wrote it, I recorded it, and I listened to it. And when I listen to it every day, I'm there. Now, where is there? Bob Proctor used to say, there is a place. So where there is where you want your life to be. That's where there is. And you want to go there in your mind. And if you're not doing this with regularity, you want to create some tools. I'm showing you tools, right? This is a tool that I use. It's a valuable tool. I have tools all around me. I have visual tools. I have my vision board right there. I'm constantly, my journal, I'm constantly using my tools. And I've been at this a long time. And I've already listened to my Power Life script multiple times today. impressing and impressing and impressing and impressing into my subconscious mind. When I think back to the 1990s, when I decided to be a multimillionaire, I've been raised in a very poor household. My parents, God love them, they're passed on now, but my parents lived in a tiny little 3-bedroom, or probably it was 2-bedroom, 600 square foot home. It was very, very tiny. I'm grateful that we had a home. Now I realize I'm grateful that we had a home. Maybe back then I wasn't as grateful or feeling, joyful about it. But I was raised by parents who were what might be considered dysfunctional and abusive, and they struggled financially. I remember going to school in ripped clothes and being quite embarrassed about the way that I looked. And I actually just thought that's the way it was, and it wasn't. And so they were very poor and they struggled and they were in debt as well. So in the 90s, when I decided I'm going to become a multimillionaire, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just decided that was going to be my experience in this lifetime. And so I began impressing that idea into my subconscious mind through repetition of telling myself over and over again that I am a happy and a healthy multimillionaire. I am. That's who I am. And I repeated it and repeated it and repeated it. And I remember in the beginning hearing it and thinking, "Oh, that's just garbage. Like that's not true." And I understood what the thought was. This is garbage. It was an old paradigm. And so when you understand how we work, how success works, how you can get it working for you, you get to a point where those kinds of thoughts pop up and you probably will smile because you're thinking, "Oh, I recognize what that is. That's just an old paradigm. This isn't going to support me. I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch to a better thought. I'm going to switch to what I desire. I'm going to switch to feeling it right now." And so why I love the Power Life script as a process is it's easy to use, right? I was out this morning, went down to the Jaguar dealership, and I was listening to my Power Life script all the way there and all the way back. And it's a 35-minute drive there and a 35-minute drive back. And I'm listening to it. Now, I may or may not be paying attention to every word that I'm hearing, but the truth is you're taking in information right now. You're taking it in through your senses. We all do. Right? A lot of people don't realize the impact that has on their belief system as well, on their paradigms. That's why I'm very sensitive to anyone having news on or paying any attention to anything negative. I don't want it in my life. Now, I had a lot of it when I was a child, and I just don't want to see it, don't want to be a part of it. It doesn't feel good. None of that is going to create a good feeling state within me, so I'm just going to avoid it. And I choose to give my attention only to what I desire. It's a choice. And so happiness is absolutely a choice. But if that's not your average experience, or it's not the way that you've been conditioned to feel, you can change it. And you can change it by implementing a couple of tools that I just mentioned here this evening or this afternoon, whatever time it is where you are right now. I just glanced down and looked at the time, Sheena. I think I've been a little bit of a cog here. I just
did the same. When you glanced down, I glanced down and went, "Have you been talking for 23 minutes? I didn't even notice myself." I was so engrossed in everything you said. And for everybody, yes, the Power Life script that Peggy does, I mean, literally, check it out because it does. I listen to mine every morning, and I don't even play it through my earphones. I play it literally out loud. So the world. Yeah. So when I'm walking past people, they can hear my phone just talking. They must be thinking, "What is she playing?" Because I'm a princess or whatever it is that I've got on there, and so I don't care anymore. I just think let everybody join in my Power Life script.
Right.
Yeah. So absolutely, loads of things that you said there, and one thing stood out a mile was when I decided to be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah,
I love that, and it's an absolute decision.
You say that, and I bet there's people that are just rejecting it right now.
I would have done. Absolutely. Yeah. I would have done. No doubt about that at all. And it was what amazes me, and what I really hope everybody can hear is that you've been at this for so long, and yet you still have to do the work. I actually thought that you would get to a level that you didn't have to do the work, that you just knew it. But actually, it is my, 60,000 thoughts a day. If you don't think something, something else will think something. So I have a round robin of certain thoughts that I'm allowed to think. And if I deviate from them, I get myself right back in and I just carry on those thoughts.
Brilliant.
So like Peggy, with my mum actually fell and died with a broken hip. And when I said to her about, why don't you say, like, look, this table is strong to hold on to. This door handle is easy to hold on and it's sturdy for me to walk past. And she said, that's too much effort. And isn't that what we think about life, isn't it? Well,
So
you
true.
want me to think moment by moment? Yes, because you are anyway.
It's true. It is a lot of effort. I mean, it really is. And, there was a wonderful program that was created by Wayne Dyer years ago called It's Never Crowded Along the Extra Mile. And I think about what you do, Sheena, and, the work that you do and the book that you've written, the book series that you're creating, and you're on the extra mile. And there's not a lot of people that are on the extra mile. Like, you've been studying this for a long time as well. You've dedicated your life to these materials. And the truth is, there's very few people that are really implementing, these materials. I think of the world today as the implementation age, not the information age. We're in implementation age. Because if you really want the change, you've got to be implementing, right? And not let it all just go flying by you in whatever way that it's going to go by you. You've got to be implementing. And even if it's a little bit, like I know when I started studying Bob, back in the 1970s, he would give so many great suggestions. And, the goal card was one of the first ideas that I had heard about. And, I found it a bit challenging to get into the new habits of success in the beginning. And it probably took me a while, but I would just go back to his seminars over and over again. I would just re-register and register again. I'd finish the series and I'd start again, finish that series and go again. If he had another level of a program, I signed up for that. And I was never concerned about money or what it would cost or what the investment would be, because I knew that it was one of the best investments, if not the best investment that you can ever make. And that's the investment in yourself. And so, I've had people ask me, like, how much have you invested in yourself? I don't have a clue. And I don't count it. It's not something that I keep a record of. But I do know that it's probably significant. But what's more important is the return, right? Like, we could take our money and we could take it to the bank and we could put it into, some type of an account or an investment, and we're going to get a return on our money most of the time, depending on where you put your money. And I find that with the work that we do in the world with this personal development, studying success, etc., there's always going to be a return on the investment. And what I discovered is that the return on the investment is not always something that you can measure dollar for dollar. Like, for example, what is it worth? If someone said to me, what is it worth to you that you no longer wanted to kill yourself, back when you first started the materials? What is that worth? There's no price. What is it worth to feel good about life? There's no price. What is it worth to have self-confidence? No price. Like, I've used these materials to manifest an incredible life, to do what I do, run my own business, to get up every day, do work that I absolutely love, to be experiencing the success that I'm experiencing, to be married to an incredible man. Now we've been together 18 years, to live in a beautiful home, to have my health, which, as a couple of years ago, it was challenged there. And there's no price. There's no price you can put on those things. And yes, it's nice to have money in the bank and to be earning millions, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not the stuff outside of you that's going to bring you anything. It's what you choose to focus on internally. So you could choose to be happy right now. You could choose to be rich right now. I have a slide that I often show in my presentations of a homeless guy, laying on a park bench. And this homeless guy became a multimillionaire, and he was interviewed. And the interviewer asked him a very important question. He was asked, at what point when you were a homeless person, did you become wealthy? At what point? Because you've changed your life. You went from living in the streets to, living in a mansion and worth multi-millions in net worth. And when exactly did that happen? And he said, it happened when I was laying on the park bench. And that's fascinating. He's laying on a park bench thinking as if he's a millionaire. Now, if he had told people what he was thinking, they would have told him he's nuts. Like they may have committed him, but that's the way it works. You got to act as if, feel as if whatever you desire is in your life now, and you will manifest it. And that's the simplistic understanding of how it works.
That's absolutely brilliant. Peggy, we have gone way over the time I asked you to come on for me. So do you have any last words for everybody? I mean, everybody, you can check out the name Peggy McColl if you haven't. Where have you been, people? But anyway, you can see all the marvelous stuff that Peggy has done, and 20 books later. So I'm 2 books in. So I've got a few more to catch up on, but I'm doing my best. So any last words from you, Peggy, and I'll let you go.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's 21 books now, by the way. I released
21 books.
Wisdom from Beyond. I would just suggest to, for anyone that's listening, and I suspect if they're connected with you, Sheena, they're very likely already into the study, for sure. And I would suggest to, write down some of those questions that I asked today, like use empowering questions to help yourself. Like, now that my dream is fulfilled, or now that I am whatever it is you desire to be, how do I feel? And write that question down and focus on it every single day. And, or what would I love? Ask yourself that question if you want to use it as a switching technique to get away from what you don't want back to what you want. It's an implementation tool, but it definitely will work. So I would suggest that.
Okay, that's absolutely super. Thank you so much for your time, Peggy. And I look forward to, I hope you enjoy Dublin and Belfast next week. And I look forward to having you over in Cheshire anytime soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, Peggy. See you. Bye-bye. How amazing is Peggy? Isn't she just absolutely wonderful? My goodness, we could talk to her all night. I couldn't believe that the time actually went past like that. I want to share with you, Peggy was talking about, a technique or whatever it is to get you out of where you are. That's really, really important. But it's also that when you do get yourself out, that you keep this technique so that it grounds you. Now, you've seen that Peggy McColl is still doing this stuff. In fact, when you start to realize that this actually works, being happy and feeling good will bring you more feeling good, then you don't want to let go. You don't care what anybody else is saying to you. You really don't care. If people are not laughing at you and if people are not criticizing you, then you're not doing anything different. And we've got to stop ourselves from just recoiling from that criticism. So yes, Peggy mentioned my book. So there it is, The Key, The Secret. And she mentioned the title there, the Switch to Rich series. I have so much to pass on. I've been studying, I haven't been studying it as long as Peggy McColl has, 45 years. I've actually been doing it 12 years. But I had to, when I was doing it on my own, I had all the answers, but none of the results. And so that's whenever I had to go to Bob Proctor and actually go, will somebody tell me? And Peggy was part of that as well. She was on stage, and that was the first time I met her. Whenever I heard her say, are you listening to this now? Make money or make excuses. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have been making excuses all my life. But here's the thing I want you to say. So we were talking about manifesting there. One of the things I realized is why I couldn't get anything, not that we get anything, but that nothing was happening, was because I wasn't happy first. I couldn't balance myself. And so I asked a few questions, to the people, to some of you who have been in the group before we came in the event. And one girl said, she says, I want to get my career. I've let my career get me down. I'm going to break the cycle. And happiness is walking with the dog, having a cup of tea and listening to birds. So yes, I can see that, what happiness is to her. But here's the thing. Your career, it's not getting you down. You are getting you down. You have a choice when you go to do something, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. Now, I'm going to say things that are literally go line by line by line. I want you to replay these and remember the lines that I say, because they are so important. There's so much more meaning behind them. Let me say it again. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It is how you experience yourself. It has nothing to do with the job. It is to do with how you experience self here. And you can choose that. So say your job is not what you want, but if you think your job is no good, then you will never get out of it. You cannot transcend that which you criticize. Let me say that again. You cannot transcend that which you criticize. So tell me in the chat there, anybody, because all I can see at the moment is Facebook chat, and I know we're on YouTube, and I know we're on LinkedIn, and I can't see any of those chats. So I'm hoping, and if not, we will share the video to make sure that people see this properly. So how's this working for you? What have you learned so far? What have you learned from Peggy? I haven't even gone into my 6 A's yet to help you. So I'm going to get into them, but I just want to make you just give you some more tidbits that write these things down. When I say something twice, it means write it down, pay attention. So the other thing that was said was that I'm going to break the cycle. Now, what did Peggy say about being a multimillionaire? She didn't say I'm going to be a millionaire. Hello, Lee, you're here. Great. I'm glad that you got that. That resonated. You got it. You got it. So choose you first, choose your experience, and then go and do something. Don't go to the experience and then react to the experience, okay? Choose you first. That's what Peggy says. It's backwards thinking, but actually it is forwards thinking. Yes, everything begins within. Everything begins within, Melanie. So you can't say, I'm going to break the cycle. And Peggy didn't say, I'm going to be a millionaire. She decided, I am a millionaire. This is what we're getting at here. Everything is a decision, and every thought you have is a decision. Every thought you have is a decision. Mary, thank you so much for being on here. It's great to have you, and you can watch the rest of it on replay anyway. So somebody else then said, Paulos, you said happiness is money, freedom, and health, and thriving relationships. Let me just put this to you, because I did the same thing. Happiness is happiness. Happiness is happiness. It is not money. It is not relationships. It is not freedom. It is not health. It is none of those things. Happiness is whole and complete in itself. And as Peggy says, it is a choice, an absolute choice. Do not put anything in front of your happiness. Choose it moment by moment. And yes, as Peggy said again, that when you go, I'm happy and grateful, and you go, yeah, whatever, that doesn't work. But you must say it, say it, say it, say it, say it, say it, say it until the day you die. Yeah. Are you willing to commit to that? But here's the switch. Here's the switch that I had to make. And I'm being completely honest here. All positivity on the outside. When things didn't go my way, poor me. Pity parties. Inside, arguing, attacking. I didn't realize how violent I was to myself. Listen, I didn't need anybody outside to bully me. I bullied myself on the inside, and I know all of you are doing the same thing. Please stop it. You are beautiful. You are gorgeous. You are amazing. Like, you are the universe itself. You are stardust. You are made of the light of the stars. Like, seriously, that is science. I didn't just make this up. Yes, Tony, Peggy was amazing. She is absolutely amazing. And so are you. You are totally, totally amazing. So don't put anything in front of your happiness. Choose it. When I wake up in the morning, I have 15 minutes. And the first thing I say to myself is, I love you. Today is going to be a good day. I'm so excited about today. Sometimes it feels false because my energy seems to be a bit off center, but it brings me back on center. And that's a decision before I put my feet on the floor that today is a good day. Before I go into a meeting, before I go and do anything, I decide the outcome before I go in. I decide that I feel good no matter what. I accept both situations. It could be this or it could be this. I am okay with either. And I bring myself to center and I go in and I'm totally centered on myself. Now this it didn't come easy for me. It took practice and practice, and I'm going to share with you the 6 A's that are actually in this book. I wish I could read all this out to you right now, but it's not expensive, for goodness sake. And if you can't afford it, then just give me a ring, for goodness sake. Because I wholly, wholly, wholly desire that you actually learn to look at yourself and smile. Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you smile at yourself right now? Just everybody right now, smile. I bet you're smiling. I bet you are. Look in the mirror and smile. Look at your partner and smile. Stroke their face and just smile. Touch their arm and just smile. Don't say any words. Just do that. And you will make a connection that is beyond any words that you could ever say. Now go and do that as well in the mirror to yourself. Will you do that? Will you do that? So somebody else, Liz said, playing to her strengths was what made her happy. Finding the sweet spot and staying there. She knows this stuff. She knows this stuff. The sweet spot is your sweet spot, not my sweet spot, not anybody else's sweet spot, not your mother's sweet spot, not Peggy's sweet spot, not Bob Proctor's sweet spot. Your sweet spot. And I know there's somebody on here now, Jules, who has managed to find her sweet spot. And it gives me so much pleasure when I hear stories where she found this sweet spot and she manages to turn, everything just turns around that sweet spot. But if you're out there trying to change everything, then you're the change. And that's why you get thrown around. So here's the 6 A's that I did. And I absolutely promise you that I do these all the time. But at one point I thought, I've got it. No, I don't need to do it. And then things go all topsy-turvy again. So the first one, right, which is really, really key, is to acknowledge yourself first and foremost. Not necessarily to go, what do I want? Drop that for now. Just drop it for now. Acknowledge yourself. So say you're in the middle of difficulty and the situation that you don't know how to handle. Obviously, if it's urgent, you need to get out. You know, I'm talking about just like normal life. And it could be a bill come in and you get all panicky, or something's happened. It doesn't really matter. Acknowledge, stop. And use that word, acknowledge myself. Acknowledge who I am, first and foremost. Acknowledge that I'm 100% successful in getting through everything in my life so far. Acknowledge who I am. Now, who am I? You are light itself. I go through this. The first chapter in this book is so detailed about who you are. And there's still some more to actually say, but I wanted to give you some understanding about how I was thinking behind these 6 A's so that it helps you understand. Now, when you read this book, for goodness sake, don't just read it and put it down. Each A, each of these, yeah, you want to read for a week at a time and really, really understand it. Let me put the link in here again for you so that you can see the book. Okay, like I say, if you really can't afford the Kindle price or the book price, then please reach out to me. So here's the thing, is that acknowledge who you are. You are infinity itself. You are light itself. You are spirit being a human. You are literally 99.999% of you that you cannot see is who you really are. And this front end is just an icon. This is an icon, the front end. Do not listen to this all the time, but we do want to have them both working together. So I go a long way into explaining where I come from with that and all the knowledge behind it. But remember that you are primarily energy. Energy. So acknowledge that. If you think you're a mere human being, then you're trudging in the physical plane. If you think that you are merely your mind and it's just, you know, the intellect, then you'll get lost in your mind and you'll be overthinking and overthinking and overthinking. I did it all. If you get lost in your physical world, you're lost in your emotions. If you get lost in your mental world, you're lost in your thoughts and you're stressful and emotional, which the two things are just nightmares, aren't they? You want to come to the spiritual realm of who you really are. And that is infinity itself. You're so much more than what you know, so much more than this body. So that's the first thing, is just acknowledge where you are. Acknowledge this is the problem. I brought myself here. I chose this for some reason. There must be something in this for me to learn. I choose that. I choose this. So the next thing is to do is to accept it. Because you see, what you don't accept, you're in resistance to. And when you're in resistance to it, you all know that what you resist persists. So if you keep in resistance to it, it just holds you in place. So you don't like your job, then you're in resistance to it, and it holds you there. So you read it, and then you blame everybody else, and everything else gets blamed. And it's only because the spirit inside of you is like trying to get out and expand. Of course you want more, but you already are the more. You are the abundance itself, experiencing the finite world. So accept where you are. That may be a hard thing, because there may be things that have happened in your life that you're going, no way, I'm not accepting that. Well, so be it. That is your choice. And if you don't know how to accept, I want you just to say the word, I accept. And Peggy said one thing. She says, do not even try to understand. It says that in the Bible, lean not on your own understanding. Now, I went and I had to learn all this stuff so that I could realize I didn't actually need to understand it. Just do what we say. Just do what Bob says. Just do what Peggy says. Just do it and do it and do it and do it and do it until something happens, till something switches. Switch it every time. It is a choice. Accept where you are. Accept that it was your choice. I explain about that in the book as well. So then the next thing is I want you to put attention, because just by acknowledging and accepting where you are, peace. There's no more arguments. Isn't that in itself bliss? Like, please put your hand up. When I find this in my own head, acknowledge and accept, boom, peace. The argument stopped. It's like my heart is complaining and guilty about the past. The head is worried about the future. And now I could actually feel myself breathing in the present, in the now. If all you learn from this today is accept yourself, acknowledge and accept yourself first and foremost, now from there you have a platform on which to stand on. So the next one is attention. Now, you can put attention on a goal, like Peggy said, but what I started to, in my worst moments, I put my attention on my breathing. I put my attention on feeling good. I put my attention on what do I want now. And if you can't be happy right now because you're so depressed, ask for the next best thought. What would I love to have right now? Well, I'd like to feel better. Okay, then use that thought. And then in that thought, you start to feel better. Then choose the next best thought. Then choose the next best thought. Then choose the next best thought. Do you see this? How you can lead yourself out of a really, really dark place? One thought at a time. Just one thought at a time. Before you can even think about where am I going. Just pull yourself out of that dark place, bit by bit. And eventually you may be able to say, I am happy. You don't need to believe it. Just say it. The I am of you is doing the work. The I am of you is the 99.999% of you that never left you. Ever, ever, ever. No one else can say I am, and you are the only I am here right now. Aren't you? There is no one else. There is no other I am except for you. And it never leaves you. In programming, we used to do BBC Basic, and it was go to, line, whatever. This is the I am. And if you keep saying I am happy, you will be brought things that will make you happy. I am grateful. So keep your attention on here. Keep your focus on me. Me is a vibration. Me is a frequency. Me is the source of all life. Keep your eye on me. I mean, you can use your goal to help you with that feeling, but to be honest, that's the next step over just bringing some peace into your life. Because unless you have some peace, you're holding yourself underwater and you can't rise. And when you can start to rise, then you can start to use this to put your attention on a goal. But until then, don't bother. Because when I get you to do lesson 1 of thinking into results, we take you up there on a goal and then we go, let go of the damn thing. Let it go. That's the sacrifice. let go of everything you ever wanted, because that's the only way you're going to have it. That's the paradox. So now you've got your attention on me. I want you now then to allow that feeling to rise. I used to take me half an hour to do this. Now it happens really instantly for me. But half an hour might take you an hour, might take you a week. Sit and allow that feeling to rise. There's a joy in there. There's a pureness in there because it's not attached to anything. Not money, not freedom, not I want, not anything. You're actually seeing yourself for the first time. When this happened to me, I was in tears saying, I'm so sorry I didn't see you. So busy with horses and children and work and getting, just living. I did not see me. I put everything in front of me. And in the Bible, I worked with, the scripture and science about how they related with each other. And if we are energy itself. And so allow that energy. And so one of the first commandments is, thou shalt not put any other gods before me. And all of a sudden, the word me just stood out. Me as a vibration, as the source of everything. Science shows us that we're just light. They have searched heaven and earth and ourselves, and they can't find a separate me. Everybody is the same thing. Everybody. And so when you can start to see that and allow the purity of that feeling to come up, that's when you can start to now sit in appreciation. Appreciation of yourself. Appreciation of the feeling. Appreciation. Have you ever sat in appreciation of yourself before? I hadn't. Can you go and look in a mirror after this? And just go and sit and look at yourself without judgment. And just look in your eyes and see the very soul of you. You are perfect. You do not need personal development. If anything, what personal development is doing is actually we want to break away all the crap to allow you to rise. The seed breaks away so that the flower can rise and grow. And that seed is the protection that you're doing with yourself right now. And we need to break that apart. As Peggy said about when you say I'm happy and then you go, no, I'm a multimillionaire. No way. That's the seed of protection. A belief system that can be broken down. But first of all, from my experience, I needed to find the peace. So acknowledge yourself, acknowledge where you are, and that you must have chosen this for some reason. The universe does not make mistakes. Accept where you are. Accept everything. It seems silly. Acceptance does not mean that you wanted to stay in your life. Just go, okay, I accept where I am, right? And stop fighting where I am. Because clearly if I fight where I am, then I'm ending up just going to stay here. So, right, okay, I give up. It's like active surrender. I accept I'm making a mess of things here. Okay, well, now what do I want? See, attention. But if you ask yourself what you want before that, you kind of can't see it properly. Attention. But to begin with, if you really are in a bad place, put attention on yourself and put attention on your feeling and find the next best thought. Allow that thought to rise and appreciate every loving moment that comes up, because it is pure joy that is actually inside you. There is pure peace inside you. There is pure abundance inside you. There is pure opulence inside you. That is everything that you are. And when you've done that, the last one is awareness. Be in the awareness of that and go through your day in that feeling. And every time, as Peggy said, that you flip over, something happens, switch it. Now, I had to literally go through the 6 A's again, but I keep doing it. And now what I do whenever I'm feeling good, I acknowledge where I am. I accept I could have had this, but I have this, and this is so good. I put my attention on my excitement and I follow my highest joy. Who doesn't want to follow their highest joy? Or should I say, who wants to follow their highest joy? Tell me what your highest joy is. Tell me what it is in the chat. What is your highest joy? And if you don't know, it doesn't have to be a thing. It's a feeling. Tell yourself, I bet you can feel it now. Go on, smile. I dare you. Just smile. Just smile. I have been given a gift that I've always been like this. But I let life get in the way. I let people tell me, stop with that positivity malarkey, Sheena. I had people bully me. I don't know why. Probably completely unaware of myself, that I walk around just not noticing anybody or anything. And they said to me, Sheena, we tried to bully you for a year, but you just keep turning up smiling. That's what I do. I have been gifted with this. And I'd like to share this gift with you. Great family relationships and living in your dream. Absolutely. So there's the 6 A's. Absolutely. What I've put in this book is, I don't know if it's a summary of 12 years of study. It all switched around whenever I did go and study with Bob. But like I say, the first thing was to find the peace in myself, first of all. Because I guarantee that's all you're looking for, is peace of mind. And you really don't care what happens in life then after. And people say to me, well, you can't be happy when you're sad, Sheena. Yes, I can. I can be happy in my sadness. I can be happy in my grief. I can be happy no matter where I am, because I choose to be. So there you go. That's it. The 6 A's. Appreciate. It's always in there. Acknowledge, accept, attention, allow, appreciate, and stay awake and aware to that feeling all day until it just becomes a habit, a new habit that you're going to do. So thank you so much for being here. My daughter's taking me out for a little drinky now, so I'm going to enjoy that. I'm so blessed, and you are all blessed, and I'm so blessed to have you here watching as well. Please enjoy my book and ask me any questions. Doesn't matter where you are in life, I will always see a different perception than you. Have the most blessed day. Cheerio now. Bye.